Welcome back to Face the State. I'm Arianna Bennett. Thank you for keeping it here. I am back with Brian Duggan from KUNR and Mische from PBS Reno, talking about the role of public media, talking about journalism in general in this ever-changing landscape. So thank you both so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
It's been very fun for me. Both of you have very long careers in media. Obviously, you've seen a ton of changes over the last few decades in particular. The only constant is change, I imagine. But when we're talking about the role of public media in general, do you think that has changed?
That's a good question. Yes, in many ways, and I think in the public radio universe, where we've always been known for shows like All Things Considered or Morning Edition or Wait Wait Don't Tell Me, but I think in the last generation of reporters and producers around the country, you've seen a real creative outpouring of new kinds of content, new kinds of voices. Podcasts, for example, have really blown up and have changed NPR's general model. And those are things that have affected how we do business here at KUNR. We now have Purple Politics Nevada, that is a podcast. So we have also looked at ways of how we partner with other stations. And I think, I spent most of my career in newspapers. I was at the Reno Gazette-Journal for many years, but even there I saw the shift toward a more collaborative approach to how we do our work, working with other stations, working with other news outlets to share content, to share reporters, to cover more ground together as opposed to acting like islands.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Kurt?
The industry has evolved. And it's changed so much in the time that I have been in the business. I started on the commercial side in radio, and to see that whole transition in television, and certainly some of the platforms that Brian talked about. What's a podcast? We never worried or thought about podcasts. We always had one broadcast channel. And it was black and white once upon a time. And when PBS Reno went on the air in 1983, there was one channel and we were on just a few hours a day, and that was that. Now we have 3 channels, broadcast channels, 24/7 service. We have to be on every platform available and imaginable. So the drain, if you will, on content, keeping enough new content in the pipeline, keeping it fresh, and maintaining our journalistic and sponsorship rules and regulations, making sure that what we have on the air is not only quality, but what the audience wants. The early days of public television, there were lectures, and there were a lot of talking head discussion programs that kind of went on and on and on. Well, for heaven's sakes, now we have things like Downton Abbey and Finding Your Roots, Antiques Roadshow, stuff that we would never ever have had back in the day. So we've really seen it, to Brian's point, evolve, and I would say we have become more audience aware and more audience conscious as time has moved on.
That's journalism in general, and on the commercial side as well. I always call it the broccoli au gratin method, where we know people need to eat the broccoli. They're more likely to eat it if there's some cheese on it.
Yes, cheese on there. Totally.
So, we might have a couple of cool cat videos in our newscast, but if that means you get the good information that comes in it, then all the better. We are in competition with so many other sources of information and entertainment and infotainment that you have to continue to be relevant. It is hard, though, like you mentioned, maintaining the quality in journalism, which takes time and resources in an era when people want the information right now.
And I think the thing about it, though, is the change for local media has been so dramatic that, this country has lost tens of thousands of reporters across the entire nation over the last 20 years or so. And that has had a dramatic effect on the kind of knowledge just everyday Americans have about their school districts or city councils. And it's, with this fragmentation of our attention across all these different platforms, across all these different social media platforms or what have you, we're kind of holding the light, right, of how do we maintain local knowledge? How do we fund our ability to just let you know like what the county commission did yesterday or what your state legislature is doing? It is an emergency that I think not enough Americans really realize. And there's been even polling on this where it's probably a bit dated at this point. I'm assuming they've redone it at Pew, but they've asked recently, how do you think your local media outlets are doing financially? And like the vast majority of Americans say, oh, fine. It's a huge disconnect in terms of what people think and what's actually happening.
Yeah, if they turn us on and we're there, oh great, everything's fine.
Right.
But it takes a lot of people to make this happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So many misconceptions about how the whole thing works, and democracy dies in darkness. So if we are not there to tell people this is what your legislature just decided to do with your tax dollars, or this is what your city council just decided to do with this road you drive on every single day, or the zoning rules for your neighborhood, things people really care about.
Yes.
No one else is going to do that. No one has time to sit in on a 6-hour city council meeting.
Well, it's also a good sign that there's been the rise of nonprofit media in general around the country, that we've seen like a new approach to how we even fund journalism from a philanthropic standpoint, how foundations now treat journalism as a public service.
And you kind of championed this at the RGJ.
Absolutely, yeah. We were able to bring back Mark Robinson as our local government reporter thanks to a grant, and we turned that position into a nonprofit position. I believe Jaden Young now is in that position covering the city council, a fellow Reno School of Journalism grad. And I really believe, as we were saying, journalism is public service. Well, that also means that we just need broader support beyond just sort of the old commercial model, however it still works, but we need to be very innovative with how we fund journalism today.
Yeah, and the issue is I think people recognize that they want it. They will tell you that they want it, but they are not willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right. And there are services we provide that are not readily visible, that you don't see on the air. We are very heavily invested in our educational workshop program. Last school year, we presented 6,800 in-classroom workshops for pre-K through fourth graders, a little over 128,000 in all, across 9 counties in our area. Now, you don't necessarily see that when you click on PBS Reno, but it's a very, very important part of what we do to take our program service, the work we do, the commitment we have to lifelong learning for everyone out into the schools in the same way that Brian and his team are covering all of those kinds of local events and local community meetings and updates. These are services that are not readily available elsewhere because other stations, other media have different marching orders. They have different operating models. That's the beauty of public television and public radio, public service media, if you will.
Yeah, it is different. So if there is one myth that you wish could be busted about what you do and where you work, what would that be?
Well, as I said earlier, that all of our money comes from the federal government. We're living off the fat of the land, and we have millions and billions of dollars to throw around. That's on a national level. Locally, there is ongoing confusion about
Who we are.
our 2 organizations. The public radio stations here are owned and operated by the university. NPR at a national level has its own board of directors and president and sets its own
A
policies.
separate independent organization.
PBS is the same. We are owned by Channel 5 Public Broadcasting Incorporated. We're not affiliated with university or any other entity like that. We have our own PBS board of directors and president. And so from the national level all the way down to the local level, we are separate. But that's not true everywhere. If you came here from the Bay Area, well, there's KQED, and they have the radio and the television. You came here from San Diego, they have television and radio co-owned.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the myth of we are, dictated by government orders, or that we have that NPR controls what we're doing. And really, public radio stations, public television stations are independent operators. We are fiercely independent operators, that we have a long history in our communities across this country. I mean, we've been in Reno for 62 years, and we have a long legacy of people who called this place home and built that station without any interference from the outside, that this is truly of the community for the community. I think that's the primary myth.
Okay.
We have a saying, if you've seen one public television station, you've seen one public television station.
Yeah.
Because we are all fiercely independent, as Brian said. Everybody's got programs that they do to serve their local community, or education initiatives, or public affairs initiatives, or whatever it may happen to be. And the beautiful thing is that we are not dictated to by a network or by a government entity, so we can really tailor what we do to meet the community's needs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have just about a minute left. This is a good opportunity to tell people, if they're watching this and they want to do something, what can they do?
I think the best thing people can do is to contribute. If they are current contributors, then maybe they can increase that contribution a little bit. If they're not contributors, there is no better time than right now to do that. And I would also suggest that they stay in touch with our Nevada congressional delegation. We have outstanding support from both sides of the aisle. We appreciate it, but those people need to know that they're supported.
Yeah, please just support public media, pbsreno.org, kunr.org. That's where you can go to support. It matters more than ever right now, so thank you for taking this time to have us here.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you both so much for your time. I do appreciate it. That is it for this episode of Face the State. But for more information or to see past episodes, you can head to our website. That's 2news.com. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you next week.